على آله وصحبه ومن والاه. اللهم لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. اللهم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. سبحانك لا نحصي ثناء عليك أنت كما أثنيت على نفسك. أنت المقدم وأنت المؤخر وأنت على كل شيء قدير. اللهم اجعل جمعنا هذا جمعا مرحوما واجعل التفرق بعده تفرقا معصوما ولا تدع فينا شقيا ولا محروما. In the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the most compassionate, the most merciful, all praise and thanks are due to him, and peace and blessings be upon his beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. He who is guided by the will of Allah, no one can misguide him, and he who is misguided, no one can guide him except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We do bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his messenger. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So today, inshallah, we will continue. We have some lessons, we have some few details that we need to know. Last time we reached how Prophet Muhammad ﷺ came and he reached the Medina. How one of the Jewish, he was climbing one of the forts. Then he noticed, after waiting for many days, then they welcomed Muhammad ﷺ. He stayed in the area as we know now as Masjid Quba for 10 plus days. Aisha said, بضعة عشرة يوما. He stayed there. And he made what we know as the first masjid there, which is Quba now. He stayed for a few days, then later it stayed as a masjid, and it was about 3.5 kilometers in our measurements now from Masjid al-Medina. And we knew last time how he sallallahu alayhi wasallam came and he left the she-camel of him sallallahu alayhi wasallam. He kept her, the she-camel, walking because every one of the Ansar was doing his best, and he would love to have the honor of what? Prophet Muhammad ﷺ to stay in his, to take a decision from one angle to stay or to live in his place and to make the masjid in his area. So it came at last to the place where they call it the Mirbad Liyatimain. And we said the Mirbad basically is the place where they dry the dates after they harvest them. And they started doing, building the masjid. And by the way, when we say building a masjid, don't imagine that we are talking about proper bricks with cement and with something very professional. No. It's something, they clean the area, they put stones, they put some kind of, the palm trees, and they put, the leaves of the palm trees in a simple, humble way, but it's dedicated, it's segregated from anything, which is the masjid. Later on, it had some kind of expansions, it has more, let's say, updates, but when we say building a masjid, don't imagine that's something like in our days. No, it's something very simple, very humble, but dedicated with some kind of special, borders. Today, we will have some kind of details about the Hijrah and some specific lessons from the Hijrah. Next time, we will be doing some kind of review about big lessons from the whole idea of the Meccan era, Al-Ahd al-Makki, completely. We will go back to review to say that's 13 days, because now later in maybe 2 or 3 sessions, 4 sessions, it depends the interaction, we'll start about Ahd al-Madani. Now the Madani era, which is completely Prophet Muhammad ﷺ started a new phase in his life. Now we will review, we will comment, and we will bring some kind of specific ayat that they were revealed in Mecca after we covered the whole area of Mecca with the most important things. This could be maybe 2 or 3 weeks. Then we'll start with the period of the Medina. Now, it's good to know the following. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. The story of the... Go back. We mentioned, it's proved, it's authentic, that Prophet ﷺ went to the cave of Thawr. This is authentic. And they stayed there for 3 days. Authentic. They left after 3 days. Sahih. Asma, Abdul Rahman bin Abi Bakr, both of them, they were helping them. Authentic. The story of Suraq ibn Malik. Authentic. Now, there is a very famous narration which is not authentic and not sahiha, and please don't use it when you narrate even for your kids, the story of the net of the spider and the two pigeons that they were there. It's not sahiha. It's not true. But it's widely spread, unfortunately, and sometimes even it's spread in our school curriculum, which means when we were kids, we were taught that. This tells you who were in charge of composing these books. Were they specialists? Did they care about reviewing what we call the sahih from the da'if? Okay, because sometimes, okay, it's not fabricated, but it's da'if. So highly preferable not to be used. It's a very weak, okay, or weak at least. It's weak. So preferable don't use something not authentic in the seerah. Now, now the narration of Ali radiyallahu anhu that he was asked to sleep in the place of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it's authentic. So according to the narrations, you know, I told you I'm quoting from different sources, and if you remember, one of them is Ali al-Sallabi, one of them is Akram Diya al-Umari, one of them is Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad, Akram Diya al-Umari, and Sheikh Ibrahim al-Ali, and Muhammad Bakr, and we have Al-Rahiq al-Makhtoum. We have different. So some of them, they spend years of their lives doing like investigating the authenticity of the seerah narration. But let me just remind you with something. Now, seerah narrations in generally people, they tend to take it or to deal with it in ease. They don't focus a lot on how authentic the narration is. Sometimes they might close their eyes about the weak narrations because they say, okay, it does not contain halal and haram. Okay? So some people, they say, oh, it's not. And sometimes they study the change of the narrations and they say, okay, it's a little bit, not very weak, just slightly weak. We can just, they call it nasta'nis biha. Well, usually just to have an idea that, and by the way, when we say weak is not fabricated, it's not a lie. But according to our standards in the narrations, the highest is the sahih. The hasan come next, and both of them are authentic. When we come to the weak means there is a possibility that it was said, but not high possibility, so we prefer not to use it. It's not like the fabricated. Fabricated is the mawdu'. Mawdu', which means it's a complete what? Lie. It's complete garbage, okay? So don't mix in your mind the word weak, da'if, with the word fabricated mawdu'. Complete different two files, okay? So be careful. Weak, by the way, in our standards, our weak is 10 times authentic more than the narration of the Torah and the Injil. Seriously, scientifically speaking, because we have the chain of the narrators to be studied in full, while other scriptures, no change of narrators at all. It's just scriptures and manuscripts. I'm speaking scientifically now, okay? So you need to know, by the way, if in case for the future you were, if we have something inside the Old Testament, for example, okay, confronted with a weak hadith, the weak hadith is 10 times more than, just to keep it in your mind for the future. Anyway, so the pigeon, the spider, the net, they are all da'if. Now, Ali radiallahu anhu, that he was asked to sleep in the place of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it's an authentic sahih narration. Now, and there is the narration that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, now there's a dispute in one of the riwayat whether it was authentic or a little bit not authentic. So it's, by the end, it's accepted from the things that we did not highlight. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he was, sitting in his house, when he decided to leave his house before going to Abu Bakr, and they decided to leave, at that specific moment, the mushrikeen, they were having this kind of sense, the vibe that Muhammad ﷺ is preparing, because they felt, their relative disappeared, someone from here, their spies told him that the very close Muslims, the possible secret Muslims, they are, escaping from here and there. They knew now the head of them, Muhammad ﷺ, is about to do it. So they decided to kill him. This is very famous. So they came to his house. They took the decision. However, they know how difficult the consequences are. Now, in the Arab mentality, when you kill someone who relates to a big and very prestigious tribe, even the non-believers of them, from blood relation point of view, they can't accept it. You got my point? Like, for example, Abu Talib, he was a kafir. He did not accept Islam, but he was protecting and supporting his nephew. Hamza, radiallahu anhu, before he decided to become a Muslim, he came and the famous, and he slapped, which means, how come you are doing this? It's his nephew as well. So the blood relations of Banu Hashim, the people of Quraysh, it was not an easy element just to ignore. So they were thinking, if someone decided, and by the way, sometimes, some of them, they were thinking to kill, but he was thinking, if I killed him, I will be killed and my family will be killed, Banu Hashim will have a fight. So they came up with a with a conclusion, which is a pure satanic one. You know what is it? They decided to to bring or to dedicate or to elect a representative, a very powerful young man that represents his tribe. Let's say 10, 15, all the tribes of Quraysh. And everyone represents a tribe. For example, Banu Kada, Banu Kada, Banu Kada. They are represented with a very powerful. All of them, they will have the sword. They were waiting for Muhammad ﷺ to leave his house. Once he opened the door, they will attack him, all of them at once, and they will hit one hit with their swords. قال فيتفرق دمه بين القبائل. Which means, if you said, okay, who killed Muhammad? Who killed Muhammad? Everyone. طيب, if Banu Hashim wants to take a revenge from someone, they can't, because they are facing, you see, everyone. So simply they will do nothing. So they gathered this number and they were waiting. And Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam قال تربص مشركي مكة بباب النبي وخلاص منهم بتلاوة آيات من سورة ياسين ثم بإلقاء حفنة تراب في وجههم وأعرض عن هذه الرواية. Now what was the narration? Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, some of the scholars, they consider it an authentic. Some of them they did not consider, but it has a very strong consideration. He came out and he narrated part of Surah Yasin. Do you know which part of it? جزاك الله خير ما شاء الله. وجعلنا من بين أيديهم سدا ومن خلفهم سدا فأغشيناهم فهم لا يبصرون. This ayah talks about how Allah, when Allah decides to stop your sight from seeing, it's up to Him. So Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam narrated this. He read this verse, and the narration says he took just small amount of the the dust, the soil, and he threw it, so none of them was able to see him. Simply he just left. طبعا someone say Allah can do it easily without asking Muhammad to do anything. Still we go back to the original point. Was it easy and part of the power of Allah to take Muhammad ﷺ from the very beginning, from Mecca to Medina, in a glance of, an eye or not? Yes or no? Type. Can anyone stop Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from taking all Muslims in a second to be at the Medina to start, the new Islamic, state without even having any problem? Yes or no? Type. Why do you think they were going through all of this process? What could be the most important lesson? We said it last time, but we have to repeat it. Prophet Muhammad, yes, تفضل. نعم الله يجزيك الخير. Prophet Muhammad صلى الله عليه وسلم came as a translator for the Quran, and he came as a role model. Now, if Muhammad صلى الله عليه وسلم was taken by Jibreel alayhi salam or by Allah directly with his own power, and everything was in an angelic way, for me, what kind of role model will be with me? Me now. If I'm facing a trouble and part of my enemies, for example, is attacking me or something like that, I say, hey, be like Prophet Muhammad, he did not say that. I say, Allah will not send Jibreel to help me like he did it. I'm not a prophet. I don't receive the wahi. Simply just I will sit in my place, maybe crying or completely depressed or losing hope, and simply I will be killed doing nothing. But if I know as a Muslim now, it's part of my test, and I have an enemy is about to attack me, I'm not supposed to be waiting for angels to protect me. Does this mean that Allah will not send angels to protect me? No. Allah takes the decision as He wants. My job is to take the possible means, al-akhd bil asbab, and to do the best of my best. After that, it's the will of Allah. If it's the end of my life, la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. If not, now it's the job of Allah. But how? I don't know. It's Allah's decision in Allah's way. And by the way, one of the strong indications for this meaning, Maryam alayhi salam. You know the Virgin Mary alayhi salam. You know, she was in labor. Do you know how difficult it is? A woman in labor, she's giving birth. How weak she will be. How weak? The weakest status. Full pain. Yet, what did Allah ask her to do? وَهُزِّي إِلَيْكِ. By the way, جذع النخلة شو اسمه بالإنجليزي؟ The palm tree is trunk? Trunk? Okay. You know, has anyone you ever touched the trunk of a palm tree? It's like the cement, by the way. Wallahi, like this cement. You know this wall? Exactly like it. It's not like normal trees. You mean sometimes normal trees, you feel you might be able to shake. It's solid like a piece of metal. Yet Allah said what? وَهُزِّي إِلَيْكِ بِجِذْعِ النَّخْلَةِ تُسَاقِطْ عَلَيْكِ رُطَبًا جَنِيًّا فَكُلِي وَاشْرَبِي وَقَرِّي عَيْنًا. Now she was giving birth in a miraculous way. You know, she's the Virgin Mary. And Isa alayhi salam came with a miracle. She was in a very, very difficult situation. Yet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, can Allah send the dates from the top of the palm tree directly without asking her to do this? Can? Yes, طبعا. But why she was asked to do? And by the way, do you think a weak hand from a woman in labor will shake a palm tree? No. What could be? Do something. Who's? You just touch. By the way, this is a big lesson for us. I will give you another lesson. You know, this could be one of the most important things for us, Naska. Now, okay, what we take from the Seerah? Prophet, he did his best to protect his da'wah. He did his best to give a lesson. He was exposed to danger. His mind was busy in processing, analyzing, thinking, comparing, discussing, paying the money, arranging with Abu Bakr, going, speaking with him in the time. You know, all what we call in business style, in political style, in whatever, in security style. He took all possible means. This is a lesson for us. If you have any kind of need, a problem, something for your life, for your da'wah, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu really a role model. One of the amazing other lessons, I think in Surah Al-Ma'idah, if I'm not mistaken. You know Musa alayhi salam, and by the way, to the best of my memory, the highest number of stories of a prophet with his people in the Quran is for Musa alayhi salam. If I'm not mistaken, in the Quran, Musa with his people, 84 or 86 different places in the Quran. It's amazing. Big lessons. They are the closest example to take a lesson for us. One of the amazing lessons, when they were approaching, when they left Egypt, they were a group of believers with a lot of mistakes. But however, in their time, 3,500 years ago, they were the remainings of believers with sinners, with troublemakers. But like us now, are we all angels? Now, do we believe in the truth? Do we have the truth? Do we have the truth? طيب. Are we all Sahaba? Do we have a lot of sinners? Yes. So it's like us now, okay? So good and bad, evil, good, all of them mix, but they were having the truth at that time when they were leaving Egypt, okay? So when they were approaching what we know now as the south of Palestine, you know, they have to fight. Children of Israel, they have to fight the pagans at that areas. And we're attacking them, tribes. Now Musa alayhi salam with a group of his people, now when he asked his people to get into and to fight, قالوا يا موسى إن فيها قوما جبارين وإنا لن ندخلها حتى يخرجوا منها فإن يخرجوا منها فإنا داخلون. They said, Moses, hey Moses. There's, you know, giants people in it. They call جبارين, very strong. جزاك الله خير حبيبي, شكرا جزيلا. شكرا يا يوسف ولا احمد نسيتنا؟ يوسف شكرا حبيبي الله يسعدك جزاك الله خير. And they refused to get into the land. I refused. And when he insisted, they said, go and fight you and your Lord. إنها هنا قاعدون. Look what happened now. قال رجلان ممن يخافون أنعم الله عليهما. Quote now. What's next? ادخلوا عليهم الباب فإذا دخلتموه فإنكم غالبون. This is Sunnah. This is the law of Allah. You know, very powerful, strong giants in the south of Palestine, pagans. They were about to fight them. As a believers, they were asked to fight them. They were afraid. So two of them, some of us say, they say the two of them, they are Musa and Harun, by the way. But the point, Allah pushed two of them to give them a lesson, a reminder. Udkhulu alayhim al-bab. This is the idea. Just get into the door, into the beginning. Just move yourself. Just if you do the move, you will have victory. Don't fight, but just take the initiative. Just look. Just don't say I'm afraid. Ya Allah help me. I will start. Just once you start, Allah will give you victory. And they refused. By the way, this is part of the law that it's part of our law now. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَأَعِدُّ لَهُمْ مَا اسْتَطَعْتُمْ. When you have enemies are fighting you, they want to demolish you, they want to get rid of you, you just are asked to do your best, not necessarily to match exactly the power of your enemy, because sometimes you might not be able to match it for whatever reason. And the technology proves that at any moment, a country could go up, another country could go what? Down. طيب, in case if superficially, materialistically, your enemy is up, is this an excuse for you as a believer just to stay crying and wait for death? In Islamic, no. طيب, but they are powerful, yes. They are more, yes. You are not allowed just to wait for death. But do your best. Victory will come. The condition of victory, فَإِذَا دَخَلْتُمُوهُ فَإِنَّكُمْ غَالِبُونَ. Just if you move a step, you will have victory. طب how? It's not your business. It's not your business. But do your job. This is one of the biggest things that we can take from these lessons. Now let's continue. One of the very interesting stories, and it's in Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad, an authentic story as well, That happened with Asma radiallahu anha when Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu accompanied Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Jazakumullah khair for the coffee. Barakallah fikum. Thank you. Shukran. Bismillah. قال عن أسماء بنت أبي بكر رضي الله عنه قالت أسماء says لما خرج رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وخرج معه أبو بكر احتمل أبو بكر ماله كله معه 5,000 درهم. Asma says, you know, when the time came and they left the place with Prophet Muhammad صلى الله عليه وسلم, he took all of his money at that very specific moment. It was 5,000 dirham. Dirham, you know, a silver coin. 5,000 dirham. She said, أو 6,000 درهم or 6,000 درهم. قالت وانطلق بها معه. They took all of the money. قالت فدخل علينا جدي أبو قحافة وقد ذهب بصره. My grandfather, whose name is Abu Quhafa, he came and at that time he was blind. He was not able to see. قال والله إني لأراه قد فجعكم بماله مع نفسه. You know, their grandfather, the father of Abu Bakr, was not a believer at that time. He was still a kafir. He refused Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So he was angry from the fact that his son Abu Bakr decided to go with sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the troublemaker of Quraysh. He was not happy with that. So now he came just to make sure that everything okay in the house, because he left Aisha and his wife and Asma and Aisha and Rahman, Abdullah, you know his family. He said, "Ma arahu illa qad faji'akum." He said, I can't see any kind of explanation for what he has done that he caused like a disaster for you. Which means, you know, I feel really very sorry. How come he's doing this with you? The fact that he left you and he migrated with that troublemaker, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, from political point of view. قال والله إني لأرى قد فجعكم بماله مع نفسه. قالت قلت كلا يا أبت. Asma, she replied, he said, no, he did not do that kind of any disaster. He did not hurt us. Ya abati. She said, my father. Because Arabs, they call the grandfather a father. Okay, part of their style. قال إنه قد ترك لنا خيرا كثيرا. He left a lot of خير for us. قالت فأخذت أحجارا فتركتها فوضعتها في قوة البيت كان أبي يضع فيها ماله ثم وضعت عليها ثوبا ثم أخذت بيده فقلت يا أبت ضع يدك على هذا المال. Now he's very angry, very nervous, have this kind of bad feelings, but there's nothing to do. The fact that he became a Muslim in himself, Abu Bakr, was very, let's say, negative from his point of view, and he was hoping that he left some money for them. So she wanted just to calm him down. What she did, she brought stones, because you know, money at that time, it was pieces of gold and silver. It's not like us, you know, these papers, the banknotes. It was gold and silver pieces. So she brought, you know, some kind of stones. She put them inside the hole in the wall where Abu Bakr used to put his gold and silver inside it. And she covered them with a piece of cloth. So he came, you know, trying to see what he left from the money for them. He put his hand, he felt that there is something there. So he became comfortable that, okay, there's some kind of money. And she just gave him this kind of, you know, peace of mind. قال فوضع يده عليها فقال لا بأس إن كان قد ترك لكم هذا. If he left this money for you, it's good. وفي هذا لكم بلاغ. This will help you to take care of yourself as long as he left you. قالت لا والله ما ترك لنا شيئا ولكني قد أردت أن أسكن الشيخ بذلك. Asma, she was saying in herself, he did not leave anything for us, but I want just to give him the peace of mind, just to calm him down, because he will make a big trouble for nothing, because Abu Bakr has already left them. Now look to the big lesson of this. When someone is doing a da'wah for the cause of Allah, how it is important that his family to support him sometimes. Even Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he's the best of the creation. from human point of view, imagine if Khadija was not in his life at the very beginning. I'm not talking from divine point of view, because Allah is able to make everything in a perfect way without our normal means. But I'm talking how Allah is planning the things so that we can take the role model. When Muhammad ﷺ came, what was the role of Khadija? Dathiruni, dathiruni, zammiluni, he was afraid. He was shaking because he was not able to recognize, to grab what was happening with him. Because Jibreel alayhi salam appeared to him in his real, shape as an angel. So he was shocked. He did not know what's happening. Was it, it's a hallucination? Is it something real? Is it from the jinn? Is it something, genuine? Has he, swallowed something? He did not know. He was afraid. So who was the most important person to take care of him? Khadija radiallahu anha. Who was the first after Khadija? Ali radiallahu anhu. He was a kid, Abu Bakr. But let's talk about Ali and Khadija. They are from the family. They are very close. So you can't live alone. So that, please, if you want to serve your da'wah, if you want to be a good Muslim, and if you want to spread the khair, be careful to take care the very close surroundings from you. First of all, you need to be a role model so that they will be convinced that really you are having a genuine thing. Apply what you believe in, and try to be a da'iyah for first of all. Now, if you simply ignore the close family and you kept working outside, ignoring the inside, your efficiency will be lost. Because the internal, family is very important in that. So, imagine if Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu did not raise Asma and Abdul Rahman on the fact of respecting Prophet Muhammad and his da'wah. Once, if Abu Quhafa came to the house, did he leave any money? No, my grandfather, he did not leave anything. He left us, we can't have food. How can we eat? They'll start crying. I would be like a scandal. Look, this is the da'iyah. She's realizing that her father, and this is, for the kid, for anyway, when you want to get married, how to choose, what's the criteria of choosing your partner, your spouse. You believe in principles. Sometimes you need to sacrifice. She needs to sacrifice. Both of you need. Your kids need to understand. Sometimes your father, your mother, because he wants just to keep the principles, not to do haram or eat haram or to support haram, he might be kicked out of his job. Now, you have one of two options as a kid, as a son, as a daughter. One of two options. You will make a pressure by saying, how can we live? Why me? How can I go? How can I do? Why me? And you will push him indirectly to do the haram for the sake of taking care of you. Or you can play an amazing role like Asma and Aisha say, Dad, you are a great man and I love you. I respect you and thank you because you are my dad. And I know you were kicked out, and I know maybe for 2 or 3 or 4 months you don't have a salary. Please tell me, how can I help? And please, I don't want anything extra from you. And if you can help. This is how really people of principles live. By the way, we are humans at the end. Anyone can face this. And it happens, by the way. I'm sitting now, and I believe at least maybe 20 or 30% of you came from families, they were kicked out from their countries because their parents simply, they believe in principles. True or false? In this masjid now. Sah? Yes. This is the country of immigration. And many people, they migrated simply because of these reasons. وَمَا نَقَمُوا مِنْهُمْ إِلَّا يُؤْمِنُوا بِاللَّهِ الْعَزِيزِ. Simply, they did not hate them just because they believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But believe in Allah, it's not a philosophy. Believe in Allah means what? There is a practical application for it. I believe Allah means practically, I will not support drinking alcohol. I will not do the drugs. I will not support porno. I will not do that. I will not. I will raise up my kids on chastity, on purity, on hijab. So, you are a troublemaker. But no. إلا يقول ربنا الله. Please be careful. If you know that your father and your mother, both of them, they are living for respecting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, don't be a reason for their depression and don't be a reason for them to fail. Support them and you will have, the ajr. This is what Asma radiallahu anha did, covering the back of her father radiallahu anha. He was, absent. He did not see. She was alone. She can't do whatever. She's telling us what happened with Abu Quhafa radiallahu anha Asma. And by the way, Asma, she's one of the big heroes of Islam. As long as we take the Seerah, you need to know this about Asma. It's a very important story. In the Seerah, because sometimes we have a lot of data here. Once a name is mentioned, like the hyperlinks, hyperlinks on the internet. Sometimes you are reading something, you see blue. Once you take the cursor, it will change from an arrow to like this, which means hyperlink. You click, you go to another page. You go to this. Sometimes the mind works like this. Just a pause on this riwayah. Asma radiyallahu anha has a very, very famous proverb. We all know, and sometimes we use it, but we don't know that she is the one who said it, which is لا يضير الشاة سلخها بعد ذبحها. Okay? طيب. Okay. I will mention it later. No problem with that. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد. Let me continue. تورية الصديق لحماية خير صديق. Anas, now we have another narration about the journey of the Hijrah itself. Anas رضي الله عنه قال: أقبل نبي الله إلى المدينة وهو مردف أبا بكر وأبو بكر شيخ يعرف ونبي الله شاب لا يعرف. Now Anas is Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, compared with Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was more famous among the Arabs. The people used to know. And by the way, Abu Bakr was Nassaba. Arabs, do you know what's the meaning of Nassaba? How many of you know? Just raise up your hands. Nassaba. 1, 2. You know Nassaba? We said it? Oh, well, I forgot.
He knows every single person about the family background.
Yes, the lineage, okay? The line of lineage of the people. So he was very famous, and the people, they used to know him, to recognize him. So in the way, 450 kilometers. Now, you have the guide, who was a non-Muslim, by the way, do you remember? He was a mushrik. And Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Abu Bakr. So when they were moving, sometimes it happened that while they were taking, they faced many people in the way, but no one knows anyone because there was no TVs, no media, no photos, no IDs. So the people, they don't recognize. So it happened that because many people recognized Abu Bakr, so sometimes when they are faced with a caravan, a group of travelers, they recognized Abu Bakr. They used to say salam to him and to ask him about what? Who is the guy next to you? Who's your company? Now, قال وهو مردف أبا بكر وأبو بكر شيخ يعرف ونبي الله صلى الله عليه وسلم شاب لا يعرف. قال فيلقى الرجل أبا بكر فيقول يا أبا بكر من هذا الرجل الذي بين يديك? Who's this man next to you? قال فيقول هذا الرجل يهديني السبيل. This is a man who's guiding me in my path. He's what? So he was not saying this is Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was saying this is a man. Now from security point of view, he was hiding the true identity of this man because simply they are escaping from a danger. This is now he continues. قال فيحسب الحاسب أنه إنما يعني الطريق. So the one who's asking will think that he means he is the guide who's showing me the path. طبعا Abu Bakr, this is called tawriya in Islam. Called what? Tawriya. Tawriya means to use, you know, when you use like a proper name to express a general idea, or when you say part of the reality without expansion for the tiny details, and you are not lying. Like for example, you want to invite me, I will give you how the tawriya, which is permissible in Islam, to do tawriya instead of lying. Wal-'iyadhu billah. Don't lie, but sometimes you can do the tawriya. How? Now you want to invite me into a special gathering at your house. You have invited someone that I hate, and I don't want to embarrass you, and I don't want to, for example, expose the problem between me and that. I want to just to do sitr, which I want to cover the reality of the problem of that person, for example, but something very personal. Maybe his wife and my wife, they have, you know, they disagree. Maybe I don't like, whatever, but something secret. I don't want to tell you, and I don't want to come to the gathering. But please come. No, you know, I have something, because of it I can't come. Am I saying the truth? He might think that I have something back at home. Okay, I have something, yes. I'm sure I have. I'm not necessarily telling you what is this something, and you're not supposed to push me, for example. Or you want, for example, to come to my house. Hello, I want to come see. You know, I can't see you. I have a very, very, for example, let's say, private issue. What is the private issue? I have a headache. I mean, yes, it's my privacy. I don't want to tell you that I have a headache. I don't want to see you while I'm having a migraine, and I don't want to speak to the other one. But I'm not necessary to tell you that I have a headache. Or, for example, my wife had a headache. I can't welcome you. Do I have to tell you? Do I have to tell you? No. So it's part, by the way, in Islam, in Islamic etiquette, it's part of politeness not to insist and to go into the depth and the details. I want to come to you, well, I'm sorry, I can't welcome you because something, you know, very serious at home, and I can't welcome you. Oh, what is this, brother? It's not even none of your business. Khalas, that's it. Could be part of the tawriya. You might think that I have a job. You might think I have a meeting. By the way, imagine that I and my wife are speaking in a very, very important, serious family issue. At that specific moment, you called me. You want to come to have a cup of tea with me. And we are discussing a very hot issue, part of our concern in our family. Do I have to tell you why I'm apologizing? Do I have? No. It's my right not to tell you. But it's out of my politeness to use a proper tawriya. I want to come when I'm very serious. I have a very serious meeting. Do I have a meeting now? Yes, with the most important person in my life, my wife. Yes. And we are discussing a very hot issue, but none of your business to tell you what is it and why on something. Sorry, I have a very important meeting. Your mind might go that I have a meeting online with my business, it's your problem, but I can't welcome you, period. I'm just explaining to you what is the tawriya, okay? So Abu Bakr radiyallahu anhu was with Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So everyone, because you know, they were the two camels, okay? So who's this man, ya Abu Bakr? He is rajulun yahdini sabil. He is the man who is guiding me in my path, in my way. So all of them, they said he is the proper guide, you know, that you hire to show you where to go. But actually, was Abu Bakr saying the truth? Was Muhammad a person who's guiding him in his life? Yes, actually, he is the guide of all humanity. It is, definitely. But that's it. قال فيقول هذا الرجل يهدي للسبيل فيحسب الحاسب أنه إنما يعني الطريق وإنما يعني سبيل الخير. He means the path of the خير, the path of goodness, the path of guidance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. قال okay, this is part. Now اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد. Part of the lessons that we can take the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu and they say the political management, how he left the she-camel just to be guided by Allah so that none of them will be upset or none of them will have this kind of fight or clashes. One of the beautiful lessons as well. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد. Now, we have what we call الاستقلال الاقتصادي للداعية. We have two events very important. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now the other lesson, how powerful you will be when your financial source, your economic management for your life has higher level of independence. As a da'iya now, the lesson. Now Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was a very close friend from Abu Bakr. And Abu Bakr was a trader, tajir. And he was able to prepare the two rahil and the two camels for traveling. When Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu asked Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Ya Rasulullah, are we going to immigrate? He said, yes. قال الصحبة الصحبة يا Rasulullah, please, let me be your companion. Do you remember? Then he started preparing the two camels. Then he told Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Ya Rasulullah, I have prepared these for how many months? Do you remember? 4 months. He was feeding them in a special place without letting anyone noticing this. So when they want to do it, Muhammad ﷺ accepted with a condition. What was it? قال بالثمن يا أبا بكر. I will pay you the price of this camel with all the cost of preparing it. I will pay it to you. He's a close friend. Yes, I will pay it to you. So that he's giving a lesson. Don't let someone, because you believe in a principle, just everything for the sake of Allah, and then you make benefit of him. It's like, may Allah forgive them. Some people who when they want to make da'wah, for example. Now, if here in the masjid, we want to, let's say, to make an event for the Eid, for the kids, and we have a budget. This is a Eid party. So we need speakers, we need mics, we need whatever. We need professional people to do it. If we don't have any professional people and we wanted to hire someone to fix these things and to install these things and to manage them in the events, are we gonna pay or not? Here in this country, are we gonna pay or not? A lot of money. Right. If coincidentally we discover that someone of the Musallin has this experience, sometimes what we do, Sheikh, Jazakallahu khairan. He will leave his work, he will come and work 10 hours, then Barakallah feek, thank you very much. This is a big mistake. But he's our brother. Habibi, don't make benefit. You have a budget. Pay him exactly as you pay to anyone else. If you were planning, if the price, maybe we will give him a little bit less, but don't consider him as if he's out. No. Let your status be strong, because we have this, unless if he wants to be a volunteer, unless if you are asking for volunteers. But this Prophet Muhammad was giving a lesson, قال يا أبا بكر بالثمن, I will pay you for this camel. What else he did, Prophet Muhammad when he wanted to build the masjid? Once the she-camel stopped in a place of the mirbad of the two orphans, immediately he decided, they came to him, Ya Rasulullah, we want to give this as a gift. قال لا بالثمن. This masjid for Muslims, I will pay the money. So I'm not benefiting, I'm not taking an advantage because you feel shy as an orphan. Because, people might feel shy. This is Rasulullah, this is masjid for Islam. So just, keep your mouth shut and don't discuss and khalas, close the file يعني لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. No, 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 no. قال بالثمن. He did not embarrass them. They are talking about the role model Prophet Muhammad. When you want to do, as long as you have the power and the money, be independent. Do your best. This gives you another lesson. If you want to be a da'iyah, please do your best to be independent in your financial sources. Work as much as you can and don't be dependent on anyone as much as you can. Because one of the most important ways of controlling dua and forcing them to say the batil against the haqq is what? Financial support, the money. And by the way, this was one of the most important reasons for Al-Azhar. Do you know Al-Azhar? Do you all know? Because طبعا Egyptians, they know Al-Azhar طبعا. But the non-Egyptians, do you know Al-Azhar? One of the greatest Islamic, academic, religious institutions in the history of Islam. Big scholar and ulama in the history of Islam and Muslims. Now, Al-Azhar had endowments. You know the endowments? Awqaf. From Singapore, okay, up to Europe. You have great endowments with billions. Now, sometimes they talk about Harvard University. You know one of the main reasons why Harvard University is very powerful? You know why? Do you have an idea? Harvard University is #1 in the world. The endowments that they have for their own, they are equal to $12 billion. That's why they can give what? Scholarships. And they can invest and pay for research. No one can control them. No government can say do such and such. No, because they have their own money. Al-Azhar used to be as such. And then Abdul Nasser came, if you know Abdul Nasser. And he controlled everything. He took everything and he destroyed Al-Azhar about more than 60 years ago. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Yes, well planned. Anyway, they call it at-ta'min. But I mean, the idea, so please, one of the lessons that I urge you to think about. If Allah made any one of you rich person, part of your zakah and sadaqah should go to support طلاب العلم, the people who are seeking the knowledge. Because if you do not do it, someone else will control them. And next generation, you know, when the one who has the ilm is controlled by someone who has the money, the ilm will be lost or will be what? Used or misused. But how can we sometimes reduce the bad influence of that? Good people like yourselves should support طلاب العلم, or otherwise, how can we have it? This is one of the lessons from Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now, اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد. اللهم صل على سيدنا Muhammad. I think now, to the best of my knowledge, this is the most important, inshallah, things that I have prepared for today. Now, do you have any lesson? Any question? Any question about today, or I will finish? Any questions, sisters? But yes, brother Shihab.
The saying of Asma. We were going to talk about the saying, her saying.
Okay. Jazakallah khair. Asma radiallahu anha, she lived, I forgot, either 96 years or 104. So she was still living, and Asma, you need to know the following. Asma, she is the wife of Abdullah ibn Zubayr. Okay? Sorry, astaghfirullah. Az-Zubayr ibn al-Awwam. Sorry. She is the wife of Az-Zubayr ibn al-Awwam. Okay? Now, the mother of Az-Zubayr ibn al-Awwam, who knows who's she? The mother of Az-Zubayr. Asma is the wife of Az-Zubayr. Who's the mother of Az-Zubayr? Who knows? Who? Who's speaking? You said Safiya? Yes, that's true. Safiya bint? Who's talking? Yes, that's true, mashallah alayk. Safiya bint Abd al-Muttalib, the aunt of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay, so Safiya, she's the sister of Abu Talib. Okay, she is the mother of Az-Zubayr ibn al-Awwam. Az-Zubayr ibn al-Awwam is the husband of Asma. They had a son, his name is Abdullah bin Az-Zubayr. Abdullah bin Az-Zubayr was one of the greatest fighters, knights, cavaliers in the history of Islam. Okay? One of his great stories, I will come to Asma later. Now, when he was a kid, very small kid, Umar al-Khattab was a Khalifa, he was a Caliph. Umar, people, men, adults, powerful, strong men, they used to feel afraid from Umar radiallahu anhu. So even kids, because his reputation that he was a very strong, tough guy before Islam and after Islam radiallahu anhu. To a degree, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, "Mahu bil Faruq." The one who distinguished between haqq and batil. So Umar, when he used to walk in the street, if kids saw him, they would disappear immediately. No one of them will stay in his way. So once he was walking, a group of kids, very little kids, they were playing. When they saw Umar, boom, all of them, they disappeared, except one kid. It was Abdullah ibn Zubayr. To Umar, he was really keen to know why this kid was not feeling afraid of him. He came to him. He said, "Why you did not run away like them?" He said, "ليست الطريق ضيقة ليوسع لك ولم أفعل شيئا." He said, "First of all, I did nothing to run away from you. Then the road is not narrow to a degree that I'm preventing you from walking. So walk in your way. There's nothing to do with me." This is Abdullah ibn Zubayr when he was a kid. Okay? Abdullah ibn Zubayr. Now let's go. Umar al-Khattab, Uthman radiallahu anhu, Ali radiallahu anhu. Then at the time of Al-Hajjaj bin Yusuf al-Thaqafi. Now, he was one of the great. Now we are talking about more than 50 years later. Abdullah ibn Zubayr was fighting Al-Hajjaj, one of the tyrants in the history of Islam. So he killed him. After he killed him, he crucified him. He put him in a cross next to the Kaaba. Abdullah ibn Zubayr, the son of Asma. Asma, at that time, she was approaching 100 or 100 plus, and she was blind. When this dictator, Al-Hajjaj, killed Abdullah ibn Zubayr, and he wanted to humiliate him and to show like a lesson for the people, he put him in a cross, because by the way, crossing people or hanging them on a cross, it was a general custom of humiliating the people and criminals at that time, okay, generally speaking, even in the Roman Empire, by the way. So he put him on a cross as a dead body next to the Kaaba. So the people, they started asking Al-Hajjaj, "Ya Hajjaj, khalas, you killed him. Now he is a dead man. Bury him." He said, "No, I will not till Asma comes and beg me to bring him down." قال لن أنزله حتى تأتيني أسماء وتتوسل. He wanted to humiliate Asma radiallahu anha. So they came to Asma. He said, "Ya Asma, your son is already dead. خلاص. Please come and ask Al-Hajjaj," because he insisted, if you do not ask him, he will not bring him down from. Then she said, "I don't care, I will not ask him." Then he said, "Because we are afraid this will be a sunnah." Sunnah what, like what? It will be like a custom if you insisted on that. Because the birds, okay, like the eagles and the falcons, they will come and start eating the flesh of the dead body. If Al-Hajjaj did it, and next ruler did it, and third ruler did it, every one political leader does not like someone, will hang them next to the Kaaba. You will find a lot of people. So we did not want to be part of the customs of the Muslim. So please go. Then she said, her famous, statement, which is لا يضير الشاة سلخها بعد ذبحها. سلخ الشاة شو بالإنجليزي؟ بعد skinning. Okay. السلخ, she said, look, when you slaughter a sheep, خلاص, the sheep is dead. The sheep does not feel now, okay? The sheep will not be feeling the harm of the skinning because it's already dead. So she said, this is a metaphor. Because they asked her, hey, let him bring down, the birds will eat him. She said, لا يضير الشاة سلخها بعد ذبحها. So I don't care. This is just a piece of body, flesh. Inshallah, he is in the Jannah with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so I don't care. Then they said, Ya Asma, but this will be like a custom, like it will be habit. Every ruler who wants to take revenge of someone will do it. She was convinced and she came and gave another lesson. Now look, she's blind. Try to picture this. She's blind, very old, 100 years. She came to the the cross, yes. She came to the cross. They told her that your son is hanged above your head now. She can't see him. She came to the cross and she said, أما آن لهذا الفارس أن يترجل. She said, did not the time come for this knight, for this cavalier to come down from his horse? She used the metaphor to show him as a great fighter on a horse. He has finished his mission. She said, I think it's the time for him to come down from his horse. Now, in the Arabic metaphorical style, this is a request, okay, for someone to bring the body from above the cross. So Al-Hajjaj, he was, by the way, he was very strong in the Arabic, fasaha and balagha, rhetoric. He accepted this and he brought him down. But the idea of Asma radiallahu anha, she said, لا يضير الشاة سلخها بعد ذبحها. Now we, in our, how many minutes you have? When I see Brother Salman, I know the time has come, subhanallah. He's our timer. Yes, our timer, our indicator, inshallah. 2 minutes just, okay? Now we use it when we say, if you have a very serious trouble, you are in a disaster, you have lost everything, you come to me or someone who's giving you, for example, counseling. I offer you, for example, a solution. You say, this is very difficult. I said, لا يضير الشاة سلخها بعد ذبحها. You are in a much more miserable situation. Why not to try this? Why not to try? You are already, خلاص, you are finished. So I'm giving you something above being finished. So try it, you will lose nothing. So when you hear لا يضير الشاة سلخها بعد ذبحها, this is Asma رضي الله عنها, one of the great heroes of Islam. أقول قولي هذا أستغفر الله لي ولكم جزاكم الله خير. See you tomorrow inshallah in the tafsir. السلام عليكم.